All right. So it did work, folks. We are live. We are here. We're talking NFL free agency. And you can see on the screen, Mr. Kyle Senra is with us. And of course, wearing the mask of the Super Bowl runner-up, Kansas City Chiefs, Braden. How you doing, guys? How you doing? How's all the news, all the action that's going on? Have you slept at all the last couple days?
I definitely have not. It feels like 5 days, like pushed into one for me, like the last few days. But it's been fun. Always a fun time of the year, and of course, just excited to see where these players go that are still unsigned, of course, too.
And Kyle, we know the Green Bay Packers tend to be a little bit quiet in free agency, so I'm sure it hasn't been as busy for you. But of course, they did bring back one of their own that we're going to talk about here in a minute. But how are you doing?
Good. And I mean, there have been mixed results when they have. I mean, they've brought in some amazing free agents. They've also brought in some absolutely atrocious free agents on contracts that I've absolutely despised. So none of that. No Jimmy Graham on the Packers. That's good.
No, yeah, hey, that's always a good thing. Folks, we're going to start off with the biggest news of the day coming down. I just actually found out about just minutes ago, but a couple hours ago, Mitch Cherbisky has signed with the Buffalo Bills, and will be backing up Josh Allen, or potentially, you never know, maybe, just maybe, he will become the starter. Okay, that's probably not going to happen, but interesting bit of development here, and something I missed over the last couple hours.
Yeah, it's kind of really interesting because could you imagine if Josh Allen had the season that he did in his first 2 years? That would have been really interesting to watch Twitter break down over this. But yeah, it's something that general manager Brandon Beanes kind of said it's going to be a reset for him. And I'm sure working under Brian Dable is going to get a good chance to try to get his footing under him and maybe try to revive himself either in Buffalo or somewhere else after that.
Well, that's and I'll let 1 second, Kyle. I just want to throw some out there. I had said on one of our shows recently that, you know, there's a chance that Mitch Trubisky, Josh Allen, maybe he does revert back to seasons 1 and 2. I mean, there's no guarantee. I'm not saying that I'm guaranteeing it or I'm suggesting it will happen, but you know, again, there's no guarantee that he's not going to do that. So, you know, maybe what if what if at some point during the season you have Mitch Trubisky under center for the Buffalo Bills? I don't know. It'll be interesting as a Patriots fan. I hope that happens. I'd be pretty happy with that. Anyway, sorry, Kyle. Go ahead.
So, it makes sense in a way. You get a high upside backup with Cherbisky. If ever Allen goes down, you've got a guy that can at least the mobility of the sense that the playbook is probably relatively the same. And so, like in that sense, like if at any point last year Josh Allen went down and Matt Barkley was forced to go in, I don't know if they would have had the same success and playoff success as they would have. Not to say they would have with Cherbisky either, but I feel like there's more of a high upside. Cherbisky, at the very least, he's going to hyper target whoever his top alpha is, and assuming that Stephon Diggs, you don't mind seeing him give Stephon Diggs a ton of targets if that's the case. So it makes sense in that case. But if you're worried about Josh Allen regressing to the mean and it's going to be, he's taking a step back developmentally. Isn't that what you're worried about with Cherbisky as well? Like that he hasn't stepped forward developmentally. You'd almost want the Matt Barkley-esque, type of at least veteran who's seen it all, knows the systems, won't get fooled by easy things in the defense. So that makes sense in a certain case, but also the weaknesses of both quarterbacks are actually similar. So you're not really covering that.
Yeah. Well, hey, consistency, right? if Josh Allen goes down, then you're getting pretty much the same court. Now, okay, actually, you know what? Sorry, that's not fair to Josh Allen. Again, Josh Allen had a MVP worthy season last year. So, and again, there's no evidence to suggest that he's going to regress back to what he was. I'm just saying there's no necessary guarantee that some sort of regression isn't going to happen. We don't know if maybe that was the peak for Josh Allen.
I think regression in certain statistics, for sure, probably is very likely. The touchdown rate that was quite high. Rarely do we see quarterbacks maintain that. Even Aaron Rodgers, I don't expect a touchdown rate from him that he had last year. He's only, that was his best of his career. He's only managed a 9% touchdown rate one other time. Like, very likely he'll never reach it again. Yeah. So that happens. I think with Allen, though, he was so low in terms of a passer years 1 and 2, and then so huge year 3. Like, where is that mean? Where is that average for him? Is it truly in the middle of those, or is it just a slight regression and then where he really levels off? And I think that's obviously the best case scenario for Buffalo. But it's hard to imagine a regression that's going to be that bad where it's even going to be a competition.
Yeah, no,
I think all jokes aside, I think we all expect that this isn't even. There's not even any talk of it. This is Josh Allen's job. Trubisky's there to learn.
Yeah, look, I jokingly said, trust me, I didn't expect for one moment that we would be starting this show talking about Mitch.
I know your humor, Ian, so I got that. I knew you were being serious.
Of everything that happened over the last, 48 to 50 some odd hours, Mitch Cherbisky is what we start with here on Full Press NFL. No, thank you everyone for joining us. We appreciate everyone tuning in. We're going to have some fun here, talk a little NFL free agency. If you feel the urge, folks, to want to join in on the conversation, the number's right up there on the screen, 626-310-8882. That's one more time, 626-310-8882. You can call, you can text, and if I see it, I will try to answer so you can talk whatever you want to talk to us. Keep it civil, unless it's talking junk about the Chiefs or something. Then you can go all in on Braden. He doesn't mind. So no, let's get back to the topic at hand. Obviously, NFL free agency. Today is technically the second day, although free agency has really been rolling for the last 3 days since the beginning of the quote unquote legal tampering period. So I ask you real quick, just overall impressions of free agency. What stood out to you, positive or negative, the most? Whether it was a team, player, cut, signing, doesn't matter. What stood out to you? Let's hear it.
I think it's got to be the wide receiver market for me, and I don't really, mind teams not being cheap with it. I think they're being smart because, truthfully, there's probably not a lot of number one guys on this market. I mean, it's so hard. Like last weekend, I was trying to think of what Juju would kind of command and all that, and the number we'd see on him. It's just so hard to really think of something that's good for him. But yeah, I think it's good that we've seen some wide receivers start to come off the board. Will Fuller today to the Dolphins. I know that's one that really fits their need because they needed a speed guy like that. But yeah, I think it's just I'm kind of glad we've seen teams be smart with it because really it allows all teams to have a good chance to possibly land a wide receiver here.
Well, since you brought up wide receivers, what do you make of, and I'm asking both of you to chime in, AJ Green? Basically, the Cardinals decided to choose AJ Green over Larry Fitzgerald, and I mean, I guess that's the question. Why?
Well, I'm not sure. Did they choose, or did Larry actually say it's enough's enough and I'm done?
And please correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they say he was going to free agency? Maybe I misread that. So maybe the door hasn't been closed on Larry Fitzgerald yet. But essentially, I mean, if that's the case, if he comes back, then you have two of the same player, an aging wide receiver, except this one is injury prone, and I'm talking about AJ Green. So again, back to the original question: why?
I mean, rookie quarterback, you've got the money to spend, and I guess you replace Larry Fitzgerald in what we presume AJ Green could do really well right now is catch the football, right? That's
sure.
He's always been really great at that. That's the one thing you miss with Fitzgerald. It's the hands. It's the more tackles than drops. Not to say that AJ Green's gonna be tackling anybody, but as a red zone weapon, right? I mean, you've got DeAndre Hopkins. So where what the rest of those targets look like. I mean, those weapons in the red zone, really nice. That I think will really help Kyler Murray's development, is get stronger in that area, and so Green does help for that purpose. But to get a red zone threat, did you have to pay $8 million for this one? That's the only thing. So I do get it, but at the same time, maybe they're seeing him as the cream of the crop just based on the who can catch the football, and they know his history. You look at the numbers throughout his career; it's just been receptions like crazy every year, every game, basically. Some games, obviously, not every receiver is going to be super consistent game to game, but I could see it in that sense. They want a guy that can catch the football. Good can do that.
Yeah, and honestly, I think I don't know if he's a tremendous fit, but I think he's a better fit in that offense than Larry Fitzgerald is too. So possibly getting him maybe moved around the formation a little more. Larry's been kind of a guy that's just been in on curl routes or dig routes right now. So it could be a better fit for that offense too.
Not to rant, but I mean, that offense that might be the problem. Isn't the fit? It's the offense itself. But
yeah. Well, again, I mean, they have DeAndre Hopkins. They have, the other pretty good pieces in that offense. Now, again, a lot of pressure is going to be on Kyler Murray. Is he going to be able to handle that? Again, whatever we saw some positives, we saw some negatives. The season kind of tailed off after that, the Hail Murray and everything like that. Can he rebound from that? Can he put together another solid season? Because there's not going to be any opportunity for excuses. There's weapons, quote unquote, on this team. There's really good ones. Now, we joke about AJ Green and his health, but if he's healthy, I mean, he's not 24, 25 anymore, but at the same time, when he was healthy, he was one of the best receivers, if one of the best playmakers. So he's going to get back to that? Probably not. Likely not. If he plays 10 games, I'd be pleasantly surprised. But if he does, I think he has a pretty good season, and I think that offense does pretty well overall. So we got a question out of Denver. We got a little Denver love here. Philip Lindsay, free agent.
Yeah.
We've seen some running backs come off the board, not many. Where do you think he lands?
I will say there is a report out of Kansas City that I've read that.
And go ahead. The floor is either of yours. If you have a guess, or do you have a landing spot that potentially might stick out?
I know there's somebody that said the Chiefs would know what to do with him. That was kind of the quote that was thrown out there. So I don't know if it'd be really anything that would upgrade the team, but I think it'd be something that Andy Reid would have a lot of fun with. I don't know if he'll go there. I could see him. I could see him going somewhere else. That maybe he has a better shot to kind of see the ball and get a lot more touches. I don't really know where he would go.
I have an idea just came in my mind just thinking about it. A team that they love their undrafted guys, their late round guys. Seattle. If Chris Carson's gone, Philip Lindsay is a cheaper option. Right now all you got is Rashad Penny. So I mean, they just need bodies. Really, I mean, they could use any running back, and a guy like Lindsay that's at least unlike Penny, he can handle a big workload. He did it for before Melvin Gordon was there. He did it for really 2 seasons in Denver. I know some injuries there, but certainly not the injury history of Rashad Penny. So I think they make a logical sense for Philip Lindsay. I did say Penny, right?
Yeah.
I think I said that properly. Assuming Carson doesn't come back. Obviously, Chris Carson could return. I mean, that still hasn't been ruled out, so interesting to see there.
I think so.
So if you want...
Well, hey, we don't even know about the quarterback at the moment, so we'll see. We'll hear about that. Oh, I'm sorry. Folks, if I'm cutting out a little bit, I'm hearing thunder and lightning in the background here, so my internet might be a little bit slow. So if we're a little bit delayed, or if there's a second or two where we kind of freeze, that's on me. Where it seems to be working out a little bit better. So even to you guys, if I'm a little bit delayed, I apologize. I don't
have to take blame.
In terms of the rest of free agents. No, this is not you. This is not you. If anything, it's probably our good friend Mike Debate. I think his bad internet mojo has made its way down here to I was going to say sunny Florida, but it's rain and thunderstorm Florida right now. But let's focus on some of the big teams. Obviously, not only because they're the big teams, but they made some pretty big splashes this offseason. I feel like it's been an entire offseason last 3 days. It's really only been we're scratching the surface of the stages of team building that go into an offseason. But the New England Patriots, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Kansas City Chiefs, who have in just a couple days, essentially reworked their entire offensive line. And, I think they're banking a lot on the health of Kyle Long and, his ability to play at a high level. But if you get a pretty good 80%, 90% Kyle Long for 16 games, I think you've upgraded. And certainly upgraded based on the fact that you just let go your 2 tackles that played a pretty huge role the last, obviously, for quite some time for the Chiefs. So we'll start with the Chiefs, and I'll ask you, Braden, your impression of the overhaul of the offensive line, and what do you think the Chiefs might do off of this now to help improve their chances of getting back and winning the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think right now they're just looking for. Oh, yeah, I think right now they're just kind of looking for
that was scary.
More than anything. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
sorry, folks. Everything is connected, so that came through my Bluetooth. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
The interesting thing is, I think they kind of listed Kyle Long as an offensive lineman, Joe Thuney as an offensive lineman, and Kyle Long as a guard. If that means Kyle Long's only played tackle in 2015 on the right side. Joe Thuney's kind of played anywhere except center for a long period of time. So right now, I think it's just much competition in as they can, and seeing how close they were to possibly landing Trent Williams was something obviously that was on everybody's mind around the team the last couple of days, and I think it would have been absolutely worth it, honestly, to pay him. I think it makes a lot of sense, kind of read what he wanted, though, to kind of be loyal to San Francisco and Kyle Shanahan with that chance they took after everything in Washington and the game went through. So I don't think the team's done. I think offensive tackle-wise, some of the best options out there, you look at Riley Reif, Alejandro Villanueva, maybe Rick Wagner, Dennis Kelly. Those are kind of the top guys I'm looking at. But I think they're just going to continue to mix and match with free agency and the draft the best they can. And I think I saw just before I jumped on here, Mike Rimmers did get re-signed. So he's another depth piece that they can certainly work with there. Actually did really well at right tackle. It's just left tackle, completely different story, of course, in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And go ahead, Kyle.
Well, I just wanted to expand the point about offensive line. That was actually going to be my big takeaway, was the big boys at offensive line got paid big bucks. You look at the Trent Williams deal. What was it? 6 years, $138 million. And I think it puts his average just. I've never seen this. It's like a $500,000 or 50,000 or whatever it is above David Bakhtiari's average, just to say he's the highest paid. So obviously important to Trent Williams. Deserved great tackle. Really, any team could have used him. So good move by the 49ers, I think. But you mentioned Thuney. Chargers getting Corey Linsley, and $62 million over 5 years. 5 years for a 30-year-old. Do you wonder if those last couple of years he doesn't really see that, but that's kind of irrelevant now. They're again, I talked about with Kyler Murray, right? Rookie quarterback, spend big. That's when you can afford to spend big. And getting a center, they needed to replace Pouncey. They didn't do it last year, and now they have with the maybe arguably the best center in the league. He was first team All-Pro, got the most votes. In a season where he didn't even play the whole year, he was hurt too, so it was just kind of that undeniably good. So I think a real good move by the Chargers. Actually made a couple of moves, not as splashy, but I don't know if we're talking winners. I'd put as a team for winners the Chargers up there, and they really need to, considering they're in the same division as the team that's been to 2 straight Super Bowls.
Yeah. And I just wanted to touch money-wise. I think Linsley became the highest paid center possibly with that deal. Joe Thuney, second highest guard contract right now in the NFL behind the Dallas Cowboys. So a lot of big money there spent in the AFC West up front.
Yeah, and I think it's smart too. At the very least. No, sorry. I think I'm on a little bit of a delay, so I apologize, guys. At the very least, if this move for the Chargers doesn't propel them to a Super Bowl, at the very least, you're protecting your rookie quarterback. Because as you grow this team around him, as you build, and sometimes, most of the time, it doesn't happen overnight. As you build, you want to make sure that he's not getting hit. You don't want to get to year 4 or 5 have a team around him and have him have the body of a 15-year veteran because he's been hit so much. Be patient, build inside out, and protect your prized piece, and that's your rookie quarter. Well, now your second-year quarterback. So, I think the Chiefs are seeing that right now. It's not that they've had a pretty good offensive line, but I think they saw what could happen. I mean, just a couple injuries. That's all it took for this offensive line to really become a shell of itself. And if that happens for an extended period of time over a regular season, Patrick Mahomes is going to get hit because he's got to get better at making plays in the pocket and reading the play beforehand. He can't do that if he's constantly rushed, because that patience that he needs to learn is never going to come. And it, again, trickle down effect. He's going to get hit. This is the same with any quarterback, really, but especially when you have this young quarterback could potentially be the guy for an extended period of time, especially with the Chiefs. I mean, you got a guy who just signed a 10-year contract. He better be the guy for the next 10 years, or you're going to have some problems. So I'm going to shift it over to New England, because obviously by a very wide margin, in many ways, they were the most active team in free agency, literally from pretty much the second it started, quote unquote, during the legal tampering period. I've said for a long time that I think the best move for this team, short of a Deshaun Watson, look, there's a lot going on with Deshaun Watson right now, on and off the field. We're not really going to get too much into that right now because we don't know. We're kind of getting the details as everyone else is. But to me, the only quarterback available out there, potentially, that would make sense to move on from Cam Newton and make it worth moving on from Cam Newton would be go get Deshaun Watson. I don't think that's that realistic right now, certainly right now. But what the New England Patriots have done is, at very least, built a team that Cam Newton should succeed at. I mean, the ball is in his court. Now, I agree. He has to play better. There's areas of the football, of playing football, he has to improve in. But he has every opportunity now to do that, assuming that they get a full offseason and a full training camp to grow together. But they signed the best two tight ends on the market, quote unquote. I mean, again, that's a little subjective, but for the most part, I think a lot of people aren't going to argue that point. They go out and sign one of the better defensive players on the market. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, yeah. Well, I know you're a big fan, but folks, if you hear that behind me, it's actually getting pretty wild out there. It's like Jurassic Park thunder and lightning going on right now. No, anyway, so
the defense
you
also
have
better to your
the tight end, you have the defense. We learned today that Patrick Chung, unfortunately, is going to retire, but we know that. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that the defense will be better. I mean, they're getting all those players back too, like Hightower's get back, like all the opt-outs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Hightower obviously being the big one, but you re-sign Kyle Van Noy. You also are getting a fourth-round compensatory pick for him this year, which is always kind of a nice added bonus because he left and signed with Miami last year. You have him, you have Hightower, you have Matthew Judon, obviously the guys up front. And again, you add the two tight ends, you add a pair of wide receivers, Nelson Aguilar, born from San Francisco. And, if you listen to everyone out there, they're not quite finished. So I like what they've done. I think they've done a excellent job of putting themselves in a position to really be competitive and give the Bills a run for their money. Again, much like Josh Allen, there's no guarantee that, the Bills are starting a 15-year run. I mean, they had a really good season last year. There's no doubt about it. How many times have we seen a team come in, have a really good season, and then drop right back down to mediocrity? Mm-hmm. It happens. It happens all the time in the NFL. I think the Patriots have done everything to power. Yeah, exactly.
Well, they beat Buffalo in the playoffs.
I think that was as predictable as anything. Go find shows that I was on around that time. The moment they committed to Blake Bortles, I was like, it's over. It's over. You lost your opportunity. Okay, you know what? I'm going to stop. I don't want to go back and start talking about Blake Bortles right now. But the point is, the team around Cam Newton is better. Cam Newton, I think, will be better by virtue of just the opportunity that he's going to have that he didn't have last year. That doesn't mean he's going to be good enough. So I think right now the Patriots are probably going to go the draft route. You draft a quarterback. Any quarterback that plays in this offense right now should do well. The way it's constructed, the players, you have two really dominant complementary tight ends that can really make an impact on the field. And we know for any quarterback, that's a huge advantage for any team. So what are your thoughts on the Patriots? Do you see them as a player now back in the mix in the AFC, or is this really just all about Cam Newton now?
I think the biggest thing with me, and I mean, it did last year, but
that delayed?
Offensive build, I think with the two tight ends, they can outfit. It forces teams to kind of play and alter their defenses week to week when there's a lot of other spread or speed being used by so many other teams. So I think that helps New England, especially Cam Newton, if he's starting games for them. And Kyle mentioned the defense getting better. I think it just it's kind of to see them go out and get guys that you just know are going to be consistently producing. Obviously Van Noy coming back, but Matthew Judon, to me, that's one for New England, and really excited to see how he's in this defense.
I do. Yeah, and you are kind of delayed, Ian, pretty significantly. But I think they could compete for a playoff spot, certainly. I think they're right back in that mix. They were close last year, 7-9, and would look pretty awful at times, and they certainly look more well-equipped. I mean, just Jonnu Smith's far more talented than anyone they had last year. I'm not sure if we can hear you anymore, Ian. Not sure if our listeners can either. Braden, not sure if you can hear him. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So should we just talk over him? All right. So
I muted my mic.
Oh, okay.
I muted my mic. No, I'm back.
Yeah,
I'm back.
Seems good too. Less delayed, I think. I hope.
No, I fixed it. I fixed it. Wow, you guys really are delayed. Anyways, what I was saying was, I think we're. No, don't worry. What I'm going to say is I think we're going to have to cut this short because it is storming like crazy in the background, and my internet is just god awful. So sorry, folks, for getting your hopes up. We do want to try to keep this going, so maybe we can figure out another time in the next couple of days to come back and talk some more free agency, folks. But give us a follow on Twitter if you want, at Full Press NFL, at Full Press Radio. Thanks for tuning in while the quality of the stream was working, and we hope to talk to you soon. Have a great day.